Welcome to Knitpickers PEI in beautiful downtown Mayfield. We're about 5 kilometers south of the Cavendish area on the north shore of the island and about a couple of kilometers west of North Rustico. Today, I am going to show you the coolest technique. It was shared with me by a friend who, she comes regularly to our knit nights. Thanks, Anna. This is so much fun. It's a way of creating cables without doing all the twisting and turning that cables normally do. It's a very simple 1x1 cable, or I suppose more like a faux cable, but it looks exactly like a cable. And it is just as quick and easy as you can even imagine. So let's give this a go, shall we?
So I've done a little sample swatch here. This is the cable side. Looks just like normal cables, doesn't it? And this would be your wrong side. And in this case, it just looks like a 2x2 rib. So what you need to do is you have to cast on stitches in multiples of 4 plus an additional 2 stitches. So what I did here is I cast on 24 stitches, that's a multiple of 4, plus 2 more. So I've cast on a grand total of 26 stitches. And if I was at my cast on row now, I would do the same stitch pattern as I'm doing now, which is just knit 2 and purl 2 until we reach the end of the row. So I'm just going to keep on knitting here until I reach the last 2 stitches, which will be knit 2, and I'll join you back then. So here we are. If you were to imagine I've just cast on a row, my setup row, which I've just about finished knitting here, would be knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, all the way across the row until you reach your last 2 stitches, and I'm going to knit 2. And then you turn your work, and your row pattern now is going to be a 4-row repeat. So on this row, we're going to do our faux cables, okay? So to do our faux cables, we start out by purling our first 2 stitches, because on the other side, these ones were knit. So we purl these 2 stitches. And then we bring our yarn to the position as if we're going to knit these 2 stitches. And what we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to knit these 2 stitches together. So I'm grabbing both of those stitches and I knit through the stitches. Whoops. I split my yarn there. Let me do this again. So I pick up those 2 stitches and I knit them through, but I'm not going to slide them off this left hand needle. I'm just going to take my right hand needle and go back into the first stitch of the 2 stitches that I've knit together and knit that stitch again and slide those 2 stitches off. So let's do that again. I'm going to purl those 2 stitches, bring my yarn to the rear to knitting position. I go into these 2 stitches as if to knit 2 together, knit it through, but don't slide it off your needle. Instead, then you take your right hand needle and go into the first of the 2 stitches that you've knit together and knit that one just as you normally would, but when you slide them off, you're sliding both stitches off your left hand needle. Purl 2, knit 2 together, but don't slide them off your left hand needle. Go back into that first stitch and knit that through again, and then slide both of these stitches off your left hand needle. Purl 2, knit 2 together, but don't slide them off your left hand needle. So I'm just holding it there, and then I'm going to go back in and knit that first stitch of the 2 that I knit together. And what that does is that replaces the 2 stitches. So here's the yarn over that appears on my right hand needle when I knit the 2 stitches together but don't remove it. This second yarn on my right hand needle is when I knit or re-knit that first stitch of the 2. Slide those 2 stitches off my needle. So I'm actually not reducing any stitches at all. It's just a different way of doing it. So purl 2, knit 2 together, so that's going to give me 1 new stitch on my right hand needle, and then I go into that first stitch of the 2 that I knit together, knit that through. That gives me the second stitch on my right hand needle, so I'm not decreasing stitches at all, and I slide those 2 stitches that I knit together off my left hand needle. Purl 2, the last faux cable that we're doing here. Go in as if you're going to knit the 2 stitches together, knit it through, but don't slide it off your left hand needle. Go back into the first stitch on your left hand needle as if to knit it, knit through, and slip those 2 stitches off your left hand needle and purl your last 2 stitches. So that is row 1 of your pattern. Row 2 of your pattern is just going to be knit 2, purl 2 all the way to the end. So just like normal, we knit 2 and purl 2 and take that all the way to the end. And when I get to the end, I'll be finishing off this row with knit 2 because we've done multiples of 4 plus 2 stitches. So I'll join you in just a couple minutes when I've finished the end of this row. So here we are. I'm on the wrong side. Our first row was our faux cable row. Our second row is knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2 all the way across the row until we reach the last 2 stitches, which are knit 2 stitches together, or knit 2 I should say, not together, just regular knit 2. You turn your work. Row 3 of the cable pattern is just purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2 all the way across until you reach the end of the row, ending with purl 2. And row 4, once again, is knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2. So it's a 4-row repeat. So now just to recap, what I did is I cast on 26 stitches. So 24 is your multiple of 4 plus 2 additional stitches. Then when you knit your setup row starts with knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, all the way to the end of the row, ending with knit 2. Then row 1 is our faux cable row, where we purl 2, and we do that little technique where we're knitting the 2 together but not sliding it off the needle, going back in and re-knitting that first stitch and then sliding both of the stitches off the needle. And you do that to the end of the row, ending with purl 2. So your cable row or your faux cable row is followed by 3 additional rows. Row 2 is knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, all the way to the end of the row, ending with knit 2. Row 3 is purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, all the way to the end of the row, ending with purl 2. And row 4, once again, is knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, all the way to the end of the row, ending with knit 2. So now you've done a 4-row repeat, and you're back at row 1, which is your faux cable row. And that is all there is to knitting this technique. And just take a look at that swatch. It looks exactly like a cable knit. It's beautiful, it's easy, and the reverse side looks exactly like a 2x2 rib. And that is all there is to knitting this faux cable technique.
So have some fun with this new faux cable technique. It's easy, it's fast. It would make a great little addition to a simple sweater, perhaps on the cuff or the hem of a sweater or a turtleneck, even maybe a scarf because the backside of it is nice and smooth. You could use it in so many different applications. So just give it a go, have some fun, play with it a bit. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. And until next time, happy knitting.